Chat, should I do React content? Like, real talk, should I do some React content? Tier list. Power meta rankings. Fuck's sake. I really don't want to fucking keep reacting to shit that's gonna be making me angry. There you go. Enjoy this. While party is filling, should we watch Desperace's silly little tier list? I'll be completely honest, like, I don't want to keep reacting to videos that can be basically considered drama. It's like, I don't have enough fucking energy for this. But I feel like it's still important to correct certain people, because they are most often just talk out of such fucking inexperience. It's
What is worse, machinist or wooclamat?
what is worse, machinist or wooclamat? Liz. Machinist. Oh no.
Oh, wow.
Oh no.
Greetings and welcome to my 7.2 tier list. This time around we got a couple of changes inside of the actual raid tier that this list is mostly connected to, together with some very pleasant changes in the encounter design and enemy selection. Regardless, there's
For anyone, if I end up uploading this, if anyone watching this, I want you to understand the reason I'm going to be probably very rude about this is because Desperace doesn't do rating. He has no idea about specifically power or meta to be doing rankings. He's not the person to talk to, and he very often just offers a lot of misinformation or just offers arguments or just that are just so fucking menial. In one of his ranking videos, he put Summoner in like A or B category because it is leveled together with Scholar. That's it. That's the entire fucking conversation about that job. Power and meta, by the way. What a great fucking meta. So if I do come across as, if this is your first time with my videos, if I do come across as a bit too rude or a bit too harsh on Desperace, it's for good reason, because he keeps just misinforming people and just misleading them off of like non-existing experience that he does not have, simply.
There's no single reason not to play the job you like the most, as in week 1 already, every job this game has to offer did clear the Savage raid, so now
On day 4 or day 5, I remember I looked at Explosion's Twitter and he's like, look guys, you can still clear as a machinist. You can still be the first machinist to clear it. Yes, you can clear the tier on any job. But if we're talking power and meta, not every job is viable. Not every job. And keep in mind, you can do certain fights on different jobs and then go on a different job for the last fight. You've technically cleared on it. I have swapped jobs. I've done M5S on Bard, and then I've done M6S on Dancer. Because simply for prog, certain mechanics simply needed to be solved a bit differently and needed a bit other efforts off of me. M7S was better on Bard, for example. So it depends. It pretty much depends. Obviously play whatever you want, but if we're talking power and meta, what you like is probably not going to be the best thing for you to play.
nothing to be worried about if you are a hardcore fan of guns.
Also, I want you to understand, these are the number of parses. When a certain job is in 26,000 parses, that means someone is playing, like so many people are playing this particular job to the point that there's so much information and parsing info and parsing data to go off of, in comparison to, for example, Summoner, who is at 5,000. A fucking Paladin is 5 times more popular than fucking Summoner. If we're talking week 1, for good reason. Ninja, it was shit on ads. Machinist is just so fucking weird in general. Summoner just doesn't work in comparison to other casters. Reaper is also doing very poorly. Red Mage, it's good for prog. It's good for prog. So I've seen even Lucrezia and Kindred bring out like double Red Mage for prog before swapping out. Bards, not a fan of seeing these numbers. Yeah, it's like these numbers mean very fucking little if it comes specifically to how I would even explain this. It's like, just because it's clearable in that job doesn't mean it's clearable comfortably. Just because I can do certain things doesn't mean I'm good at them, or that I am the perfect person to do those things. Someone is out there is doing those jobs way better than me.
And bow harps, for example. Like always, remember that this is my personal opinion and no objectified truth that you should agree on without checking various other sources on the internet, or even better, playing the tier for yourself, finding out which job performs better than others.
Take your own fucking advice, Despairs. Despairs, I have not seen you clear a tier since Eden Gate? No, wait. Eden's Verse or Eden Gate? I don't remember. I have not seen you clear a tier in so fucking long. I don't think you're the one to talk about this. Especially when you don't fucking check the sources online either.
The most objective data I'm referring to is the one from FFlogs, but even there, things
And we already, like in the past, have figured out that he is not really good at checking those FFlogs. He does not know what to show or what to even check. Sometimes he will be very selective. He'll show RDPS on certain jobs and ADPS on other jobs. Specifically, he showed dancers ADPS and said dancers are doing low DPS this time around. Okay, cool, but they're RDPS.
Things might change over the course of the usual gearing process, and how certain jobs scale differently across.
Plus, it's like, if we're talking about specifically week 1 and 2, why are we doing power and meta rankings? It's not the meta, it's not the power. Whatever.
The multitudes of time spans you could watch this video in. For example, right now Viper and Samurai are crushing the charts massively, as most raiding groups will push over the new gear pieces to those jobs as they benefit the most of a single item upgrade, due to being in the dance partner position or by being amplified by other jobs better than a Dragoon, where their high personal DPS output is the defining factor.
Wait, hold on. Okay, so RDPS over a range of 2 weeks, all percentiles. Don't fucking show all percentiles. That is not what you should be showing.
The most of a single item upgrade, due to being
all percentiles. It's like, okay, the reason I'm not happy about specifically him showing all percentiles is because it it affects the information by adding the non-skilled players. It's okay if you're playing the game at your own rate, but if we're talking about power and meta, we should be looking at the top players who perform the best. Especially if we're talking about DPS, we should be looking at the people who do more DPS. Not at little Timmy, who has his first rating tier happening, and he cleared a couple of fights on his new favorite job, the Summoner. Because he really, really likes Jujutsu Kaisen or some shit. Yeah, 95 plus, that would be like a better place to look. Like even 90. 90 plus. That would be the way. It's not because they do more damage, it's because these people are more, they're a better assurance to show the capabilities of certain jobs being performed.
In the dance partner position or by being amplified by other.
And just dance partner position, that doesn't matter. Dance partner position isn't based specifically on damage. It's also put into account how much Esther they can generate for the dancer himself as well. It's not just based on that. They are specifically set as a priority for dance partners due to their job design, not because they do more damage. And because dance partner. Not every group is gonna have a dancer.
Other jobs better than a Dragoon, where their high personal DPS output is the defining factor, of course. So take data with a grain of salt, and my opinion with an even bigger grain of salt. And let's get started. Unlike on my other tier lists, I will start with DPS jobs to get the most controversial balancing decisions of Team Yoshida out of the way, right at the start of the video. This means regardless if you like the new Black Mage from its playstyle aspect, there is definitely some serious heft to its DPS performance. As Samurai and Viper players are mostly in favor, it could easily happen that Black Mages follow up as time goes by and they push out tons of raw damage potential into bosses. And with the changes to spell timing and the removal of Umbral Ice and Fire timing, I would go as far as to say it comes 95% close to the flexibility of a Pictomancer and not too close apart from a Red Mage even.
Huh? I wouldn't go as far as, like, it already had better flexibility than Pictomancer. Maybe not Red Mage, but already had better flexibility just because it had its movement abilities on 6-second cooldown. 6-second cooldown, it was ready, even before the change. but now they can also slide cast, so they are technically the most mobile caster. Like, Black Mage just got, like, buffed, like, giga buffed for this tier. And it is partially connected to how the tier was designed. Black Mages would have been miserable.
Solid A+ spot in my opinion with S tier potential, which cannot really be said about Summoner or Red Mage. They are indeed
Hold on.
Pictomancer and not too close apart from a Red Mage even. A solid A+ spot in my opinion with
Okay, you need to stop trying to not piss people off. Don't don't do this SAAAB thing. Do the normal fucking letters. SABCD. I'm sorry, some jobs are simply they belong in D. Some jobs just simply belong in D. They shouldn't have a consolation prize of B or A minus. You need to stop trying to not make people angry. You will. And this kind of like tier listing is stupid, where A is like 3 different fucking categories. It's stupid. You need to stop this. It's like, how can certain jobs be in the same fucking category, but a bit higher or a bit less, depending if it's I don't know. If you're doing particular rankings, like some jobs need to be in D. I'm sorry, it's not your fault, but certain jobs sometimes, due to Square Enix's short-sightedness, they're just D tier. Maybe even less, F. Black Mage is doing alright right now, from what I saw. No, Black Mages are doing great. Black Mage are doing great. I haven't heard Black Mages bitch about Black Mage since the tier started. Nobody's complaining anymore. Everyone realized that they actually got buffed.
with S tier potential.
And after actually looking at machinists, they realized, ooh, I feel like our identity is just fucking fine.
Which cannot really be said about Summoner or Red Mage. They are indeed useful for proc, and if the other teammates come in with high damage values, you will definitely clear the tier without difficulties coming from the jobs. But numerically they are still falling behind, especially when Pictomancer is on a decent lead and Black Mage is basically in another tier in comparison. If Summoner would have its dot system in place, it would be God tier for M6S.
Oh, fuck off. If it had dots, it would actually be fun to play, and it would actually be giga good. No, the dots would still do shit damage. just cause how Summoner is balanced, it's just doing shit damage. Just cause if it had dots, it doesn't mean it would still do good damage. What the fuck? Dot was good. Gameplay wise, it was. But if we're talking about power and meta, which is the title of his own fucking video, the job design itself doesn't fucking matter. Whether it's fun to play or not, it doesn't fucking matter.
But that's just not the case anymore, and the
Like, summoners are shit. They're like giga goods on M6S. If they pushed a bit more damage, because all their fucking skills do AoE. Practically, like 80% of their rotation is fucking AoE. They're perfect for M6S. Are people gonna use it? Fuck no.
the massive AoE burst doesn't necessarily work into the newly added add phases, where Pictomancer or other jobs can simply play out their trump cards easily.
Wait, what the fuck he say?
But that's just not the case anymore, and the massive AoE burst doesn't necessarily work into the newly added add phases.
All of their skills are AoE. Like, most of summoner skills are AoE. You're practically doing the same fucking rotation, just AoE. It's their AoE rotation is practically the same. It's not burst. Instead of 1, you press 2, or whatever you put the AoE equivalent of Phoenix, Bahamut, and fucking whatever the fuck the new Bahamut is called. Skinny Bahamut.
Where Pictomancer or other jobs can simply play out their trump cards easily, and with better rotational planning ahead, because Summoner is stuck with the strict rails of 2-minute windows. Red Mage on the other hand kinda suffering from the same.
I mean, 2-minute windows. Like, the more we looked at it, we did adjust certain buff windows to certain places just to deal with certain problems on ad phases a bit faster. But with a good, decent comp, if we're, again, it's like, this is not according to skill level, we're talking about specifically power and meta. With a proper comp, you don't need to hold buffs anywhere. You don't need to adjust. 2 minutes are fine. Like, your 2 minutes on ad phase would be popping up like shortly after you killed the cat, so you would have a burst to kill Yan and do a lot of damage on the squirrels and the boss. With leftover damage for both manta rays, depending like what's your priority on your group. I'm sorry. But unless you have someone who's struggling to do, like, you know, their melee combo as a red mage, at certain parts, like on the second death mechanic in P3 of M7S, maybe you could like delay the buffs by like 2 GCDs, but like 2-minute meta is fine. You're fine. You're not really adjusting, or like the 2-minute meta has nothing to do with how you do your burst out for AoE.
Issue with the raising tax diminishing its damage and also not offering the heavy AoE
Sorry, what the fuck he say?
issue with the raising tax diminishing its damage and also not offering the heavy AoE flags for whenever it's needed. So I guess I would place them on A-.
But wait, what? Like, part of their rotation is AoE. Their burst also has AoE buttons. You just press the other button instead of the other one. This is, like, their rotation is very flexible around ad phases. Like, if we're talking specifically, like, in my opinion, I think Black Mages should be in A. If I would be like S, A, B, C, D, right? Summoner, damage-wise, let's be honest, would be C. Red Mage would be B or A. Specifically, if we're talking about how the job functions during certain situations, right? So yeah, Summoner would definitely be in C. Yeah, Summoner isn't that bad. Summoner can be very good on certain phases, if we're talking about power meta. And Red Mages would be a bit higher by a tier above them just because of their flexibility with their rotation, because they're a bit more able to control their rotation less rigidly.
Just because they still fall behind all melees technically. Though you have to keep in mind that groups are still sticking to the usual pattern, mostly 4-5% buff, limit break, and how placing 6 melees in close quarters can be difficult. But quite in between the lines we have a significant change in power, which can be seen on the Pictomancer. Many people considered it to be the pinnacle of Dawntrail, and it had been this way for the last patches, so Square needed to adjust it, and they finally did it. Would I see it in between Red Mage, Summoner and the melees? Yes, actually that is where it belongs in my opinion. Maybe due to the changes to Black Mage there's a slight heap and some room for improvement, as
what are we fucking doing here? Like, week 1 and 2 don't really matter, specifically if you're showing me these fucking numbers. Because week 1 and 2 is people are still clearing the tier. You need to give it like a good 4 weeks before making any fucking tier list like this, so that everyone can catch up and more people have done reclears or practiced the tier and sent logs. Like, this is just not a very fair comparison. Pictomancer is like, if we're talking about specifically, I'd say Pictomancer is on the same side as Red Mage for me. Black Mage would be the top caster right now, with Red Mage and Picto behind him. Picto is really good as well with managing the rotation, as well as the utility they offer, and Summoner like after them below.
they're basically
Like, these numbers, like right now, they just don't fucking mean anything. Especially when you have to pay attention to both RDPS and ADPS. Like, there's a reason there's 2 categories. Like, I'm not even talking about percentiles anymore. There's a reason there's 2 categories. And if you're gonna make one fucking category and basing these 2 categories against each other by like nonchalant fucking arguments, I'm not sure what is the point of these rankings.
played in the same way now, but overall it is a fine adjustment I'm definitely agreeing to. It still doesn't bring a raise to the table, but among the casting jobs it's
Don't die. Just don't die, Forehead. Just don't die. Or wipe and do the go again.
absolutely fine, and I would grant it the A spot here. A+ if you take ultimate into consideration, but that might just come from the fact
If we're going for 7.2, you're not considering ultimates. Ultimates should not be in consideration right now, because we're talking about just Savage. The ultimates should not be in consideration just because ultimates are 7.1. You should 7.2 meta should not be part of 7.1 content consideration. We're talking about just Savage right now.
those people who cleared it recently still got their Pictomancer strat in place and haven't tried out Black Mage instead. Anyways, the melee roster looks kinda fine again, but the Viper takes a mild lead over its competition. Like I said, Samurai and Viper are the favorite targets to earn the first pieces of gear due to their heavy self-inflicted DPS enhanced by bards and dancers like no.
Not exactly true. The reason some of these jobs do a lot better, like for example, Ninja and Viper, they're very close in like DPS, let's say on a single target. in terms of like their rotation, if they would both just do, if they had the same gear, same crafted 740 gear, and they would just do the same rotation, they would be very close in DPS. But through passive means, Viper just shreds a lot more AoE. Viper is just shreds a lot more AoE through the rotation. Same with Monk, same with Samurai. That's why Ninja is down below. That's why Reaper is down below, because their AoE is not as consistently strong through just passive, like normal rotation as Viper, Samurai, or Monk, for example. They cannot just like more easily, more comfortably provide a lot of like AoE damage in comparison. They're good jobs, but just if we're 7.2, yeah, I kind of agree that Viper and Samurai Monk are gonna be a lot better. But like again, these numbers mean they're little. They're just, these jobs are just convenient. They're not exactly meta.
No other jobs would. So you could probably grant it an S rank position, but this could shift over the course of the next patches, especially as jobs like Dragoon tend to catch up over time. And when those lines are so close together, as long as the defensive toolkits don't change, I would highly suggest to play any of these melee jobs in favor of how you like them. For example, comparing the ninja with its slight fall off, which looks massive compared to a monk.
It's not slight. Just a lot of people just realize that to get through M6S ad phase, they will need to swap to Viper. Because I have seen, and not just like our Viper in my group, I've seen some Vipers, like either on their streams or some other. I've seen Ninja mains who swapped to Viper and did a more poor rotation than they would on Ninja. Like they're less experienced with Viper than Ninja. And by doing the Viper rotation, they pulled a lot more damage than Ninja on specifically the ad phase. Unfortunately, that's just the situation.
In a simple
it's not a slight kind of distance in terms of number.
numeric comparison, this is barely a 3%, the absolute best of the best. So in general, the usual player clearing Savage might end up on the exact same DPS number.
Ooh.
No matter if you're going in with a Monk or Ninja. So we're taking Monk on A+, and Ninja on A. But like I said, this
Monk on A+ and Ninja on A. No.
This can shift quickly and you can easily choose both without...
No, Ninja would be on... Honestly, Ninja would be on C. Monk would be on A. Samurai would be on... My personal opinion, on B. Just because Samurai doesn't carry fucking utility with him. Monk has Mantra, he has Brotherhood, lots of utility, mobility, besides the really, really comfortable rotation. But yeah, Ninja definitely on C.
Without seeing a difference at all. And the same can be said about Dragoon, Samurai, Reaper and Viper. Just like always, if you love seeing the factual big number in your mathematician tool, Samurai and Viper are the way to go. And Viper being the king of this patch, with the benefit of the doubt, I shall grant it our first S rank spot here. But Samurai...
I wouldn't say S rank, definitely A. I wouldn't say that it's like so fucking important to have a Viper. For ad phases, sure, it's the most comfortable one, but it's like, it's not S rank, I'm sorry. It does damage, it does good on AoE during the ad phase. It's decent at controlling its burst, but its burst on at certain parts is very uncomfortable, depending what kind of parts you're doing. On M7S, in P3 and M8S, during the ad phase, they either hold or send their DPS. They can kind of control their DPS, but sometimes they just kind of sometimes just have to send it. But I wouldn't say Viper S. I'd say A. Because like for me, S rank is something giga huge, something like really big. For me, Scholar is S rank. Because they have a good fucking, very good fucking cooldowns. That maybe in damage, I don't know how fucking healers are faring in damage right now. But if it comes to specifically necessity for raids, Scholar is S rank. I'm sorry. Spread low, expedient, seraphism. I'm sorry, but plus chain. It's like the amount of fucking utility a Scholar fucking brings is close to mandatory. If we're talking about like value over, for example, Sage. Sage is easier, true. Lots of extra region healing, yeah. But the Scholar would be S rank for me. Just because how many like this tier specifically, Scholar has so many tools for any fucking situation. For most situation in the raid tier, they have tools. They are ready and they can adjust so fucking comfortably.
Samurai is following very closely on A+, and Reaper and Dragoon are still on the same rank, just with more support.
Dragoon. Actually, I don't know enough about Dragoons. I need to ask Pato, but I feel like I don't know enough Dragoon. I'm not gonna talk about Dragoons because I haven't touched Dragoon this entire expansion. I'm not gonna talk Dragoons. Like, numbers alone are not enough for me to have a proper fucking opinion on this. Not enough people play that, at least that I know, play Dragoon either. Just one fucking person that I know, and he's just, I'm pretty sure plays it for the memes to say good.
Supportive damage than personal raw power.
Reaper and Ninja should not be an A. They are in C. I'm sorry, Ninja and Reaper are in C. They have utility, they're good. They're not in D, but they should be in C. In comparison to the other jobs this tier, they are just not fucking doing good. They are just not doing good, I'm sorry. I agree, Reaper is a C right now. Yep.
Alright, let's talk about the elephant in
Same with Ninja. Ninja has tools, but they're not fucking useful in the rating
the
tier.
room, shall we? While Dancer and Bard seem to keep their spirit alive with all the new AoE potential in M6S, Machinist got a big L this patch, and
Machinist has gotten an L for the past fucking 4 patches. I'm sorry, even getting dismantled didn't exactly give Machinist a W. Like, Machinists are just not doing fucking good. Like, this is something I ranted about earlier as well. Machinists are just in such a stupid fucking situation. They don't do enough damage to be considered a damage job. They don't have any support tools to be considered a support job. They're in this weird fucking limbo. They're a job. If you're having fun playing it, go for it. But as far as it goes to specifically talking about power and meta rankings, Machinist is just not it. I'm sorry. Their AoE rotation is so dog shit too. On M6S, they're shit. I'm sorry. They could do alright on the small, minuscule 7-second ad phases in M7S, I guess. But otherwise, I'm sorry, but Dancer and Bard just bring already way more than Machinist. I don't like this. I genuinely don't like this. I want Machinist to be fun and good, but now Machinist, I have no fucking idea what the fuck it is. I have no idea what the fuck it is. What is the point of Machinist? They need to rework this whole support job section that they have for 8.0. Because Machinist, it's in this category just because it can move and shoot, but otherwise what is the point of Machinist? Dancer and Bard, they serve the role, and they're serving it way fucking better than Machinist.
position, and even on ADPS, where it should at least perform on the level of Pictomancer,
I mean, in terms of damage, I believe it's supposed to be at least like mid-level of damage. I think it should be like mid-level of damage. Like not top damage, sure, but like mid-range of damage, it should be there. It should be doing an average number of damage to be in the middle of every DPS. It should be above physical range in terms of DPS, and it should be below like the top hitters.
falls short
But it needs more fucking support tools.
and comes way too close to Red
So he mentioned ADPS, but is he gonna show it or what?
Mage and Summoner. I mean, it's
There
still
it
not
is.
bad
Let's go.
because
Let's see. Where is Machinist? No, because Red Mage and Summoner are mainly being brought out for Prog, and people then swap out either to Black Mage or Picto. But mainly for Black Mage, from what I've seen. I've mainly during the race, I mainly watched Kindred. I've seen some Prog points of Lucrezia as well, but like mainly Kindred. But yeah, I can see that. Like, people aren't exactly clearing content on Red Mage and Summoner, but they bring them out for Prog. If we're looking just at the first 2 weeks, they don't fucking matter. I'm sorry, what the fuck? Why are we making rankings off of just the first 2 weeks? If we aren't taking 2 weeks, it shouldn't be all percentile. If we're doing all percentile, it should be at least 4 weeks. If we're including little Timmy that decided to try a new job this year.
say, but it's just feeling annoying to acknowledge that you're going to fall behind even with good gear, that a solid summoner could swing in the same amount of damage while buffing others and while having raising capabilities. It's a sad season.
Again, it's like, I get it, Res Mage, haha. Red Mage is a Res Mage. Oh, Summoner also can Res. That's not the fucking selling point of the job now, is it? It shouldn't be the selling point of a job. Just because they can res, who gives a fuck? Dual cast is fun. Summoning cool shit and being able to move a lot while casting, that should be fun. Who gives a fuck? Why is resing a power meta tool? It's not. It's a good proc tool. It's not power or meta.
For a man with a machine gun, and it seems to be continuing in the same way as before, but worse. I mean, they were kinda going into the right direction. But again, the saddest B note, which Square should definitely take a look at again. Hopefully with the
I do agree. It should be like at the very bottom right now on D. In my tier list, it would be on D, just because it's like it's like to not if you're a machinist player, it's not your fault. Square Enix put this job into this particular position where it's just it doesn't know what the fuck it is itself, and there's no proper place for it during specifically meta conversations.
impactful buff we always wished for since the beginning of Dawntrail. If you like the job, you can still clear any form of content with it, but a Black Mage or Pictomancer might find it easier this time around. Dancer and Bard seem to do a bit better, but it bores me to still see that annoying ranged physical or caster tax, which unfortunately indicates this game is not going to make some serious changes to the tedious old formula.
Like, Machinist should do enough damage where double fizz range should be an option. Specifically if it's Dancer Machinist or Bard Machinist. Machinist should do enough damage to warrant that kind of a situation. Or carry enough damage that our DPS doesn't matter if people bring like Bard or Dancer. It needs to do more damage, I'm sorry.
I mean, the raid is nice and re-innovated some cool mechanics from times before Stormblood even. But when it comes to gear, class identity and innovation in general, the game needs to do better, even if balancing would take a big hit for some weeks. However, these two supporters are still fine, but what it indicates this game is not going to make some serious changes to the tedious old formula. I mean, the raid is nice and re-innovated some cool mechanics from time.
Oh, he's normal. I got excited. Oh, I finally see Despairs in some raiding content. Nope, it's normal. Who gives a fuck?
Times before Stormblood even. But when it comes to gear, class identity and innovation in general, the game needs to do better, even if balancing would take a big hit for some weeks. However, these two supporters are still fine and played by many first week clear groups, so don't hesitate to pick them.
It doesn't matter if they're played week 1. They're played week 1 because they're necessary. Sure, so people will bring out double red mage for proc, because resting people is very important when trying to see mechanics and getting through. But at the tail end, it's just stupidly necessary to have a fizz range, specifically in RDPS, Bard or Dancer. Both are really fucking good. A, for the 5%, B, for the constant buffs that machinists don't have. My opinion, Bard and both, like Bard and Dan. Actually, wait, hold on. I think Bard should be in A, and Dancer would be in B. No. Yeah, in B, I'd say. My opinion. Like, Dancer is a lot better on cleaving ads, but if we're specifically talking about the entire rating tier, Bard is kinda a bit ahead of Dancer, in my eyes. I played both. I cleared fights on both fights, on both jobs. Yeah, I think Bard should be on A, Dancer on B.
A- for these. When it comes to tanks, there's not much to talk about that hasn't been mentioned in the last tier list or by experienced veterans like Xeno or Happy. We see a Gunbreaker being buffed while already having the lead on that aspect, Warrior and Paladin still wearing the best defensive kit, and Dark Knight creeping up to a point it doesn't fall too short, so that's actually quite...
I kinda don't care about the damage itself. Hold on, let me see what the fuck he
Gunbreaker
showed.
being buffed while already having the lead on that aspect.
If we're talking about ADPS, they're not that far apart though. Like, even if he's showing all percentiles, it's just 60 and 61. As much as we're seeing this gap and it looks very big, it's 60, 61. It's not that big. Like, as far as I care about tanks, in terms of meta, if we're talking about that, I don't think their damage matters. Until we have the same situation we had in Asphodels or Abyssos, where a tank like Dark Knight did fucking 10% more damage than any other fucking tank, this shit doesn't matter. Well, while they're very close to each other, it doesn't fucking matter right now. Their type of mitigation is what's gonna matter. And obviously the composition also matters in that situation, but essentially their mitigation is gonna be what defines them as a power meta kind of job, in my opinion, while their damage is so fucking similar.
aspect, Warrior and Paladin still wearing the
Like Dark Knight and Gunbreaker, depending on what kind of composition. So if you got a Paladin and, like, okay, let's just for sake of example, we're gonna talk about M6S. If you have a Paladin and Warrior, Warrior would be on the squirrels and the boss, while the Paladin would be on the Yan. Yan, because Paladin can just do their own thing and self-sustain themselves long enough for people to kind of do their thing. Who the fuck is messaging me? I'll talk about tanks later. Actually, I can still talk about tanks while raiding, while in Party Finder. So essentially, because the Paladin is really good at self-sustaining himself against, for example, a single target. In dungeons, yeah, I'm sure you've seen them self-sustain themselves against multiple targets, but in terms of against Warrior, they're better as a single self-sustain in comparison to Warrior. Against a single target, I haven't done the math in a while, but I remember that Paladin can do a lot more self-sustain than Warrior. Because Warrior has to rely specifically on on Bloodwetting. Meanwhile, like every Holy Spirit heals, and every Sheltron heals Paladins. But let's say you have a situation, you have either of these sustained tanks and a Dark Knight Gunbreaker. In my opinion, mind you, you would put Gunbreaker and Dark Knight on the squirrels and the boss. They do more damage, especially across AoE, and they have a lot better tanking tools in comparison to Warrior and Paladin. They're both valid, mind you, but if we're specifically comparison, just from my experience, Dark Knight and Gunbreaker can tank enormous amount of punishment in comparison to, like, the self-sustain is great. Sure, you can keep yourself alive very long as a warrior against like multi-target healing and save yourself some cooldowns. But if we're specifically talking about doing DPS and having one of two roles during the M6S ad phase, Dark Knight Gunbreaker, in my opinion, would be on the squirrels and the boss. Warrior Paladin would be on the ram. My opinion, but by the way. So as far as tanks go, the self-sustaining tanks would probably be... I'd probably put them in B, and Gunbreaker Dark Knight in A. Because self-sustain is great and all, but it's like, just through tools alone, Gunbreaker and Dark Knight are a bit more tankier, and they can whip out a lot more damage. I know also, like, putting Warrior on, like, 2 target, 1 target is, like, very shit. God forbid you have to do decimation on one or two. Or when it comes to priority targets and just self-sustaining accordingly, this is essentially my opinion. I understand, like, a lot of most likely specifically Warrior mains will disagree with me, but if we're talking specifically about meta, who can pull out a bit better and a bit more, in my experience and opinion, that is what it'd be. Tanks are just fine, just Paladin comes on top due to range 1 minute. I mean, it's like, even damage wise, it's like, I don't really care, just because how close the tanks are to each other right now. So they're essentially more or less gonna do the same thing. It's just like, in terms of like specifically burst windows, I prefer Gunbreaker and Dark Knight. So we're gonna finish this video. What did I even stop on? Oh yeah, I ranted about tanks, but I think I finished that rant already, so let's continue.
the best defensive kit, and Dark Knight creeping up to a point it doesn't fall too short.
Wait, who had the best defensive kit?
We see a Gunbreaker being buffed while already having the lead on that aspect. Warrior and Paladin still wearing the best defensive kit, and Dark...
They don't have the best defensive kit. Their kit is very situational, because sustain in some cases is worse than defensive. Okay, so for example, let me just put it as an example. If, again, the situation is the warrior being on multi targets and tanking the boss. Let's say he's tanking the squirrels and the boss in M6S. Bloodwetting will keep him alive like very effectively. Just because healing off of multi-target will just like save a lot of like cooldowns for the duration of bloodwetting, and just like the sustain itself is very, very good. But let's say an attack is coming, like a tank buster and an ultimate, right? You being able to heal up after doesn't matter if the hit kills you in one hit. Like for example, the autos on in top, for example, P2. You just got to P2 and you get some really heavy fucking autos. Either the healers need to babysit the tanks or the tanks need to put on their big boy pants and actually use mitigation. You don't use mitigation, you're dead. No amount of the amount of healing you do is not going to help you. You're going to have to use so yeah, if the tank buster kills you, it doesn't really matter if you can sustain yourself. If the situation like M6S adds, your kit is going to be more useful if you can heal off of multi-targets. Or, for example, you don't have as big of a heal as a warrior, as a paladin, but you have more stable, more consistent self-sustain, besides, you know, having to block as well. But you have like the steady sustain from Holy Spirit, direct combo, your Sheltron. How did I fucking forget Sheltron? I mentioned it earlier. Your Sheltron gives you a passive region as well. It's like, it depends. Nobody has the best kit. Well, that's up to argument. In the current tier, I believe like the best kit is on Gunbreaker and Dark Knight. The best kit, specifically in terms of mitigation. Depending what kind of comp, sometimes another tank can be doing better than the other one, but I feel like it's still very it requires a lot of context and situation to say who has the best defensive kit.
Dark Knight creeping up to a point it doesn't fall too short, so that's actually quite fine on the tanking side of life. But the devil's in the details, right? So a trend towards Paladin can definitely be seen here, with a massive 7 to 10k more parses than on the...
Who cares how many parses? Just because more people play this job doesn't mean it's better. Like, some jobs are obviously a lot worse. Machinist and Summoner. We talked about it, why. Ninjas as well. We talked about why. But just because a lot of people play, like, especially when we only have 4 tanks, and we have fuck ton of melees. Not a very fair comparison. So the amount of, like, the amount of parses is not... Tanks are not that of an important aspect. They are. They are. Tanks are very important in any raid. But depending which tanks you bring to raid, it's not that important. Some tanks are better, sometimes some tanks are worse. They're situational. But they're not that different from each other in terms of what they need to do during raid, that one of them is so massively better. Like, just because there's a lot more parses specifically from Paladin, doesn't mean Paladin is like the king of tanks right now. Just because they're like, okay, what's the other tank that's below him? Dark Knight. Okay, 7,000 more, like, yeah, almost like 7 to 8,000 more parses on Paladin. Doesn't mean shit. Doesn't mean shit.
The other jobs, which means regardless of the numbers, choose the one you like the most for its playstyle. And if your group...
This is very fucking backhanded of Despairs. It's like, well, you can see that more people are playing this, therefore it's kind of better, also superior defensive kit, but you should play whatever the fuck you want. Not something you should be saying in a fucking power meta ranking video. I don't think Despairs knows what the fuck meta means. Or like what a power ranking should be. Definitely not in 14 context. Like, definitely not in 14 context.
Group is lacking some DPS output, go for Gunbreaker. So S tier for Squall...
You are... This is not a business. We're not in this situation right now where swapping tanks is gonna make such a big fucking difference. It might, and overall, if everyone is gonna make some changes specifically towards like a decent meta. But it's like, it's not, the difference is not that big. Like, even the graph he showed, 60 and 61. The picture shows a big block. But if you are competent and have a fucking brain cell and you look at the bottom and at the numbers and actually read the information around the graph, what is being shown, you'll realize the difference in that graph is so fucking minuscule. It's so fucking minuscule.
And his friends, and A+ for the rest. If you're very critical, Dark Knight could potentially move downwards to A, but I personally do like TBN and
I don't know. Like, TBN is really fucking great. I like TBN. Ablation and TBN are so fucking good both. I think Gunbreaker and Dark Knight should both be in A, in my opinion. Warrior and Paladin should be in B. It's just for this tier, and it's just my opinion, depending who they're placed with. But if there's a situation where all 4 of them are placed against each other, the self-sustained tanks are just one fucking tier below the Gunbreaker and Dark Knight for me.
Living Dead, even though they might fall short.
And Living Dead, fuck off. Like, your invulns should not be part of your fucking selling point. Otherwise, it would be the warrior that's always like an S rank. Again, it's some things he brings up are just, they shouldn't be part of the fucking meta or power rankings. Because meta does not include reses. Just because there is reses, there's no strat that requires reses. Is there? That means it's not meta. Reses are not necessary. Sure, it makes prog more comfortable, but it's not a meta characteristic. Same as with invulns. This tier around, mitigation for tanks, like their tank busters are a bit more fun this time around. I love that. I love that. Absolutely adore what they did with the raids. But their invulns are not part of their identity. Sure, all of their invulns are very different, but it's like their invulns aren't playing that big of a role. Okay, like let's say in M7S, the tanks would just solo the towers. Neat. That's it. So they save your group a lot of cooldowns, but which tank invulns the first and second tower doesn't fucking matter. They just do it, and they just did the tanking job. Just their different invulns aren't really playing a role in that mechanic, do they? So invulns should not play a particular role in meta rankings.
Short compared to the competition in the one or the other scenario. When it comes to healers, Scholar might be the big winner of this patch due to how useful Expedient.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Finally he says something correctly. Wait, hold on. Is he about to say it's because of Expedient?
And Living Dead, even though they might fall short compared to the competition in the one or the other scenario. When it comes to healers, Scholar might be the big winner of this patch due to how useful Expedient can be for M8S and other bosses too.
M8S? What? Wait, what? M8S. Okay, M7S, I agree. M6S, I agree. M5S, I agree. M8S, I do not agree. Expedient is always a great spell. I just don't think that's where it shines. Considering the first, like, P1 is on a very tiny arena. P2 has a lot of tiny arenas that you have to, like, teleport between. Expedient isn't exactly shining in M8S. It's the other three fights. Just because the arenas are very big and sometimes movement is very necessary, like on M7S, disconnecting and reconnecting to the boss while doing like running around the boss during like P1. That's kind of neat. For mechanics like going strange seeds, for example, that's kind of neat too, depending where you use it and how. So it's like M8S is just not where Expedient shines. Every other cooldown fucking does, but just not M8.
There's lots of fast movement involved this time around, and this aspect is much easier when having a Scholar in your party. On top of that, shield healers are naturally killing it on HPS as
well. On it's not because they do more healing. Like both of them do plenty of healing. I think it's because this time around we're relying more on the shield healer cooldowns. Because like especially during prog, like mechanics hit hard. So we're gonna be relying a lot more specifically on mitigation, and that mitigation obviously comes with healing. I don't know, this is actually very interesting, but I don't believe this is a very defining factor of it. Sage definitely heals more than Scholar, but it's like because Scholar is higher than fucking Astro and White Mage, like the fact that Scholar is higher than Astro, I'm gonna assume it's because of the movement, or specifically reliance on shield healers during early prog. I'm pretty sure, and we'll probably come back to this in, let's say, like 3 weeks, once there's more parses. I'm pretty sure Astro and White Mage are gonna come out on head once people get more gear, and will rely a lot less specifically on mitigation.
As well.
In my opinion, Scholar would be S rank. Just again, like Scholar is really fucking good. Sage would be B, Astro A, White Mage, I'd say B as well.
And while Scholar being among the most technically refined jobs, there's still some heft to its toolkit that only Sage or Astrologian can.
How does he never show any Savage footage? I'm pretty sure, like, I know Despair doesn't do Savage, but he always, like, has the fucking opinion on power and meta rankings. I just don't, like... Like, even Cole fucking shows footage of shit he's done when yapping about nothing, but like, Despairs, I feel like, is reusing clips he's had since fucking Stormblood at this point.
company. Astrologen again taking the massive DPS lead due to how its buffs scale with our big boy Viper, Samurai and even Black Mage.
What the fuck? Just because the job is an RDPS. Wait, hold on. But no, that's not how that works. Because then if we're specifically talking about how their damage scales with other jobs, then Scholar would be also higher up here. No, they simply just do more damage. They don't just buff them. Again, it's just like a couple percentiles here. Those like few percentiles are not that big of a difference. 48, 52. They're very close, to be fair. ADPS, White Mage still rocking it with the Blood Lily. Sage is doing a lot of damage, and these two are RDPS, so this kind of makes sense. I am happy to see White Mage doing a lot of damage, though. White Mage has been like a bit neglected, in my opinion. So if we're looking specifically at healer damage, and like not including RDPS, I'd say White Mage is always going to be winning, just because like White Mage now has more DPS tools, and Blood Lily is always gonna fuck. Let's be honest, Blood Lily fucks. Sage has more DPS tools as well, which is nice. I can see why Scholar and Astro didn't really get much, because their DPS tools barely fucking changed. Like, if Astro still had Astrodyne, they'd be higher than Scholar. But they don't anymore, so I can see why they're, like, below them. But they're very close. I'm gonna consider this like pretty much the same. Yeah, it is pretty much the same. 40 percentile. It is pretty much the same. Astro definitely does not just scale with RDPS. They do get a lot from RDPS, but like their cards have changed. They're not just throwing old DPS cards on one fucking job. It's just a lot of their own personal damage. So like attributing someone's damage just because another job is doing well right now it's silly. It's silly. Astro is not higher because of Viper and Samurai.
But White Mage follows behind very closely, and its ease of use healing kit can be a blessing for tricky situations. So all that combined
No comments on White Mage's DPS. Fucking cute.
into rankings and spots, I would grant Scholar the highest position on A, and for the first weeks in how the DPS statistics are presented, all others on A+. Literally every
I'd say Scholar
healer
in my opinion is S rank, not just because utility, but because it also works with everyone. It just works with everyone. You pick any other of the three healers, Scholar works with them. Like White Mage and Astro don't exactly work this tier, definitely not during Prog. Maybe once we get some gear we'll be fine. But Scholar just works with all three healers. You can be duo partners. Sage has plenty of healing and also have Pepsis to avoid overriding shields in case Spreadlow isn't necessary. Sage is really fucking strong for like majority of the mechanics. I say majority because there might be a mechanic that might not be thinking of, and where the Scholars don't have a tool. But as far as I'm thinking, like Scholar has a place for all fights. For every position, they have something. Not every healer does though.
has one argument for it, so choose your favorite according to personal preference, and Scholar for maxing out your...
Like, why are you giving advice about, like, personal preferences? Again, when you are trying to talk about power and meta rankings. Again, this is so fucking misleading. Little Timmy's gonna watch this. Ooh! If it's my opinion, Dancer should be S rank. Yippee!
Your group's movement flexibility. Alright, I know these tier lists
I think Gun is stronger than Sword. Machinist S rank.
are super subjective, so feel free to criticize my opinions and statements, and let me know your own thoughts and placements inside the comment section. Apart from Machinist and the antiquated ranged and caster tags, except for the Black Mage, and for Pictomancer and all patches before 7.2, the balancing is top tier again, and minor adjustments could make it nearly perfect. Weighted range are super subjective. Every healer has one argument for criticize my opinion.
Again, that's the normal fight, isn't it? It is.
And statements, and let me know your own thoughts and placements inside the comment section. Apart from Machinist and the antiquated ranged and caster tags,
He's never gonna show Savage, is he?
Pictomancer and all patches.
Like, just showing off his fucking damage meters is it's pointless. I guess he wants to show specific clips where he does good damage, but like for someone who does nothing but normal fights, it's like, this is pointless. I get the editing, but sometimes it feels like he's just trying to show off something that's so fucking pointless.
Before 7.2, the balancing is top
I'm sorry, it's like, I understand I might be sounding like a very jaded, elitist kind of asshole, but it's like, it just fucking constantly drives me the wrong way. The way Despair just keeps trying to mislead people, lie to them, without doing proper fucking research into any of the jobs. Like, he will recommend, look into these sources, meanwhile, he doesn't do that. I've checked, he's not on like a lot of these sources. He doesn't, because I've checked those sources just to, like, we've done this before. He just doesn't do the research of the sources he talks about. He doesn't have experience in Savage or Ultimate Fights anymore. Again, last time I've seen any Savage footage of him doing anything, I think in fucking Eden Gate. I don't think he's cleared a single, like, any Savage fight since. He just kind of just monetizes information of nothing. So it honestly just drives me up the wall every fucking time. This is why I don't want to fucking do React content to shit like this. I'll do it because some people need fucking correction. Like, if you disagree with me, let's just have a chat about it. But it's like, just saying things and showing graphs of, like, I don't know. Like, this entire video is just nothing. Even on spots where we would agree, he's talking about just something that's nothing. Just a random thing. Oh, well, they're good because they're good, and not really because they're bad. Bah. Ooh, White Mage is right behind. Why are they right behind? He doesn't know.
top tier again.
He doesn't
and minor
play.
adjustments could make it nearly perfect. So be vocal about these issues and Square might adjust them sooner than later. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep loving Final Fantasy.
I don't know why I keep watching these videos. Like, I know he's just not gonna... He's just gonna talk about random shit out of nothing. He'll preface, it's my opinion. You should play what you want. What the fuck is the point if it's just your opinion? And people can play whatever the fuck they want, but you're still gonna mislead people with power and meta rankings. If people want to know what's like the best currently like DPS for their position right now, they would like to get that information, but your opinion is just so fucking misleading. It's just fucking frustrating at this point. It is just frustrating. Like, Despair is, do some Savage fights. I don't know if you don't have time or you're just shit at the game. I don't know. Like, I'll help you with those fights. I'll organize a team. I'll raid lead for you if you need. But Jesus fucking Christ, you need to start showing some shit that you know what you're talking about. Because here Hector is in the same boat right now. People are using Hector strats, but because Hector was wrong on 3 whole fucking fights this time around, people are still arguing over strats. People are looking over raid plans because people stopped trusting Hector. Hector released an M6S video with like a very unoptimized ad phase. Then he released a very vastly different ad phase optimization guide. If you're happy being known as this kind of person, because anyone in the more higher end community is just gonna laugh at you. Like me and like some friends and some of the other high end writers, we're just gonna sit down in some of the discords and we're just gonna be confused. Like, what the fuck is happening? Is Hector trying to annoy people? Is Despair just trying to annoy people? Because newer players will watch these videos. More casual players will watch these videos. People who don't have enough experience will watch these videos and think, dang, okay, cool. This is cool information. I'll take it to heart. But then they'll actually start talking to players who actually play the game and can actually explain things more vividly. They're gonna realize they were just fucking misled, and some people just make content for fucking content's sake. Just to do their fucking little quota. Ooh, every patch I do rankings and whatever, yeah? Ooh, new cosmetics came out. I need to monetize that as well. Ooh, FanFest. I should steal the entire cosplay fucking section and re-upload it on my own channel. You want to be a rat? Fucking be a rat, but don't comment that I'm rude and mean to you when you're acting like this.